Mary J. Blige family affair. So an all too familiar occurrence in America occurred in the last few days. A young woman called the police in Minneapolis to report what she thought was a sexual assault. The police came and she was shot. Now, it isn't all that unusual for unarmed people to get shot in America. 660 so far to date have done it. On a pace to break, been shot by the police, on a pace to break the records ever since they've been keeping them in 2013. 850 unarmed people were killed by the police last year. It's too frequent an occurrence, so it's not unusual at all. It's not unusual for you to call the police and seek help and be shot. It's not unusual for the police to shoot the very person that called. It's not unusual for the policeman that shoots you to have a record where he's had complaints. It's not unusual for people to turn a deaf eye. What is unusual about this particular circumstances, it's very unusual for that to be a young blonde woman. The usual stops there. What usually happens when it's a person of color is we find out all about them. We find out whether they were an alcoholic. We find out whether they came from a troubled home or a single family home. We find out what criminal record they had. Before we even know the circumstances of the shooting, we know all about them. Even if you're Trayvon Martin. If you're Trayvon Martin, we'll find out, whether you're Trayvon Martin, if you're Tamir Rice, we'll find out that your father had a criminal record even though you were a 12-year-old. We'll find out that, if you're Gray, who got killed, Michael Brown who got killed, we'll learn all about you. What didn't happen in this case was there was no rush to judgment by the media. There was no attempt on the media's part to villainize the person who shot, to make them complicit in their own murder. And you have to look at the fact that it's because it's a young blonde woman. What also didn't happen is a police official got on TV and said, we're going to find out. We don't want you to rush to judgment. We're going to take our time and find out what happened. There was also no attempt, to demonize the area or to talk about her family life. She was a bride-to-be, she was a foreigner, she called the police, she was beautiful, she was conscientious. There was no attempt to make her less human so that people would not think that what had happened was wrong. The truth of the matter is, an unarmed person dying at the hands of a policeman, particular policeman who has had other incidences where, almost that's pretty congruent with everything that happens. Whether it's Michael Brown, Wilson had other problems. Kathy shot Tamir Rice. He had other problems. This officer had other problems. The girl that just got on, Betty Shelby, she had other problems. And in most cases, you can make an argument that those people shouldn't be on the police department. They were so right with problems. What also happened that was particularly amazing was this police officer, Noor, he had been on for 2 years, first a police officer of Somali descent in Minneapolis. He apologized. He apologized. The police officer apologized. I've never seen that happen. I've never seen that happen. I've never seen a police officer within days of killing an unarmed person apologize for it. This is what this looks like. This is what it feels like. What it feels like to watch your family member be gunned down and nobody being brought to account for it. And they try to dehumanize him or her and make them less so that people have no compassion for them. What you feel right now with this young blonde woman is what you should feel all the time. Empathy, humanity. It was wrong that woman called the police seeking for help and she got a bullet and she shouldn't be dead. And somebody should be brought to account for that, damn whatever excuses they have. When you are so afraid that you shoot a young blonde woman, what area did she live in? You can't say the same things you used to say before. You can't say the police officer was afraid. You can't say, oh, it's a rough neighborhood. They're under a lot of stress. You'd never say that. You'd say he made a mistake and he should pay for it. That life is gone. Now, the only thing consistent is police officers' willingness to shoot unarmed people. The thing that we hope will be different, that somebody will be brought to account for it. And that now you understand that it ain't just us. All lives, I guess you think, do matter because now people are acting like they do. All we ask, all anybody should ask, is that everybody be treated the same way. That they shouldn't try to demonize somebody just because they got killed by police officers. That they shouldn't try to make them animals. That they shouldn't try to ascribe some kind of malice to them because of where they live or because they're come from a single parent home. Let's treat them just like they were a blonde Australian. Let's treat them as human as they're treating her. Because she deserves it and they deserve it. No one deserves to be shot down by a police officer when they're calling for help. Nobody deserves to be unarmed and lose their life because of fretful, untrained, quick on the trigger police officer. No one should do that. That should happen to no one. That should happen to, I don't care if he was black and she was white, or if she was white and he was black. No one deserves this. And no one also deserves to be re-victimized for being shot. Nobody deserves to be dead and dehumanized. It's a little note from the GED section. We got the Jazz Report coming up in 15 minutes. It's the L Hugley Show.